man. How you hit that free throw with no jumper? Take my people out of Section 8. I stand behind my promise. Pray to God it took a leap of faith like Pac and Biggie. Papa, Black Lives Matter over here. The truth they can't see too often. Gets a kid facing trauma, stress, depression, marijuana. 50 cents a jack. Heart disease from me now carry out a sweat, blood and tears. My cousin spent 5 years at this McDonald's. Taking classes, studying social work and hosting fill his pockets. Scarlet fever from industrial parks pollution gave us asthma. I can't trust the news no more cause they put filters on their cameras. 6 men tell it straight out here. Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford. One leg inside the trench, my wrist came from corporate office. Here's the truth, mind above the matters. I can't let them starve. Hood preacher, I can't let my city ever fall apart. Made mistakes before I overcome the odds and took a charge. Built a damn empire, took my youngest. I'm with the 6 man. How you hit that free throw with no jumper? Take my people out of Section 8. I stand behind my promise. Pray to God it took a leap of faith like Pac and Biggie. Papa, Black Lives Matter over here. The truth they can't see too often. We need change of perks. We always had it the worst cause white folk policies left us cursed. We need retribution, put 10 bands inside my grandma purse. They set us back 1,000 years and took our culture here as dirt. We all kings and queens, right? Just hit the 6 man for advice. My mind was stuck in the gutter, spoken reason changed my life. Meditation kept us woke, therapeutic vibes and quotes. They just killed Breonna Taylor, so it's hard to trust them folks. And I sent a prayer for, white collar crime through the stock market, mail fraud. When it came to food stamps, my brother never had a choice. Fast forward, he just copped a 20 acres. I'm with the 6 man. How you hit that free throw with no jumper? Take my people out of Section 8. I stand behind my promise. Pray to God it took a leap of faith like Pac and Biggie. Papa, Black Lives Matter over here. The truth they can't see. I'm with the 6 man. How you hit that free throw with no jumper? Take my people out of Section 8. I stand behind my promise. Pray to God it took a leap of faith like Pac and Biggie. Papa, Black Lives Matter over here. The truth they can't see too often.
Welcome to the show. It's Real Talk with the 6 man. I'm your host, the 6 man. This podcast is uncut, unscripted, and we talk about a wide range of topics. Black entrepreneurship, social injustice, education, finances, the family dynamic, Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, and mental health, along with many more. It's a Real Talk podcast to empower, educate, encourage, uplift, and inspire, and to allow others to be better than they were yesterday. Welcome, y'all. Welcome. Y'all know what time it is. It's the third Thursday of the month. I always say that. It ain't the third Thursday of the month, man. It's the first Thursday of the month. I know my schedule. I just like to throw y'all off a little bit. I see a couple people watching already. Let me go to the comments so I can get set up, make sure everybody kind of in one place. So tonight I'm doing something a little different. I'm only hosting and going live in the group, Real Talk with the 6 man group, and I'm also going live on YouTube. So if you happen to be watching, you got 2 options. You can either watch in the group if you're a member of the group, or you can go to YouTube, Real Talk with the 6 man podcast, and watch on YouTube. I can see your comments. If you want to chime in, that's cool. And we're gonna get started. So tonight, it's bittersweet for me because I found out earlier today that my guest actually is a homie of a homie that I went to high school with. And that's why I say, having relationships and being connected with people is very important, and always keeping value in your relationship is good, because you never know who may be in your inner circle or who may want to get connected with you or whatever the case may be. But tonight I'm solo. Amechi, she got caught up at work as a producer. That happens sometimes. She said somebody didn't come to work tonight, so she's the backup plan for work. So I told her I was going to shout her out. So Amechi, we're going to miss you tonight. I know tonight is your night where you can come home Thursday night, get you a little drinky drink, come on here and unwind. And that's what I like about Amechi. I mean, a lot of people who don't know Amechi, I've been knowing Amechi since 97, 98 when we got to Dale State. And it was just like, she been a homie ever since. And then a homie of hers was like, Kevin, I think you should add Amechi to the mix. I think she'd be good. I was like, you think so? She was like, and she wanted to do it. I was like, for real? She was like, reach out to her. As soon as I reached out to her, she was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. I was like, bet. So it's been a good mixed ever since. And I told her, I said I wanted to not always be the one that's always talking. And if we get into these conversations where we might be talking about, relationships, men and women, I don't want to be biased and be always giving a man's view. I want to be able to have her own view. And sometimes she may say something and blurt something out, and y'all be like, damn, what makes you go like that? And so it's just a way for her to open up her butterfly, because she has been, kind of quiet about a lot of stuff. And Macy has actually opened up on the show, in the room, in our audio room. We used to do our live room. She's actually been interviewed on various panels on the podcast, and just somebody that I think that the more you get to know her, the more you get to love her like I do. So she's family. She's excited to come down to South Florida the weekend of the 14th of July. We invited people. We opened that up for people to come down the weekend of the 14th of July, to come down, chill with us. Depending on how many people come down, we're gonna go to our complex office and let them know we want to reserve the pool. We're gonna get a little music, little food, and just everybody just come down. We're gonna have a little get together that Saturday, Friday night. If y'all come, we may go out, hit Fort Lauderdale or something. It's just a way of having an event, because we were supposed to do St. Vincent last year, but it just, it ain't panning out, and it's not something that we not still, looking forward to doing. We just got to make sure the timing is right, and also want to also keep in mind of people's finances, and if you got kids and your job or whatever. So I just want to make sure I'm always being cognizant of that, and just allowing people to make sure if they can make it, they can make it. I mean, if you can't, good. If you can't, you always can make the next one. So weekend of the 14th of July, we asking everybody if you can come down. I know that today is June 1st, and I know that it's a lot of people who are boycotting coming to Florida. I know there's a lot of people who are my Latino brothers and sisters. They are boycotting for these new laws. Governor DeSantis is putting in, and actually one of the notes that I want to talk to my guest about, just to get his mindset. But again, like, if you don't come, I'm cool. Is no love lost, because I get it. But we are here, and if you decide to come, we're gonna party regardless. So tonight I have a very special guest, man. This guy is a 20-year Air Force veteran, and he also has his own business. He's a professional life coach and a youth mentor. So it's one of them things when you see something about somebody, and when you see certain things, you automatically know that it's going to be some type of connection, because he's a mentor, I'm a mentor. He has his own business, I have my own business, and we kind of um I want to say we kind of line up together with what we do, because we inspire the people to be better than they were yesterday, pretty much. And that's my logo for the show. So I want to introduce Mr. Aaron T. Caldwell II. I wanted to make sure I got the second, because he got that thing spread out. He military, so if you don't say his name, right, be like you forgot to say the second. So I'm gonna bring on my brother, man, Mr. Aaron Caldwell II.
Oh, Kevin, man, you funny, bro. You funny. I appreciate that. No, the
What's going
emphasis.
on?
I'm good, man. I'm well. The emphasis behind the second for me is because I grew up in a small town in Georgia, right, in South Georgia,
Okay.
and I'm named after my father. And my
Okay.
father was a journalist, so he did
Okay.
radio and TV. So everybody knew him. So I grew up in his shadow, right? And
Okay.
so, kind of over time, I had to try to break ground to kind of find out who am I. And people recognize me for me, so I started
Right.
emphasizing that
Ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing
that's
wrong
my
with that,
father,
bro.
but I'm not. I'm not him.
Ain't nothing wrong with. Hey, listen. I feel like at the end of the day, man. I think when you have something like that, it's very important. To make sure you are identified as, as your name. You know what I mean? So when I
Yeah,
saw the second, I immediately joked. It was like, look, I'm gonna say his name without saying the second. See if he say something. And then when I said it, then you caught it. You was like, oh, look at this dude. But I mean, it's just I always like to be respectful. I always like to make sure I make my guests feel welcome. And again, when you
yeah,
said I was funny, that's a way of me welcoming you and making sure this is a safe place. Depending on what we get into tonight, you are free to talk about whatever it is you want. I do have a few questions, talking points that we're gonna go over. But I kind of just wanted you in the beginning, to kind of tell people, who you are. Talk a little bit about your military experience, because I know when we talked earlier, sometimes it's almost as if um it's almost as if the military is not something that we are taught to do for some reason. I'm not sure why, but in some cases, it just seems like the military is like one of those things where people just don't want to, don't want to go to the military for whatever reason. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I want you to talk a little bit about your military background, and then I also want you to get into, what you're doing now. I love when I saw the life coach, because I have a friend of the show. She is actually I want to make sure I get this right. She's actually a law of attraction coach. So when I first met her, she said dating, and that was the conversation. But when I introduced her, I was like, yeah, she's a dating specialist. She was like, no, I'm a law of attraction coach. See? So I always, try to make sure I get people correct. You know what I mean? But then professional life coach, youth mentor, and then you got your own business. So I kind of want to just start with, who Aaron Caldwell II is, and kind of talk about, some of your military Air Force experience.
Yeah. So, to your point, the military, Air Force was not my first choice. So, life takes place, and I kind of fell ass backwards into the Air Force, to be totally honest.
Mm,
Leaving high school, I had a scholarship, so I went to college, had an academic scholarship. I was 17 when I graduated, so I kind of earned me a little ahead. I skipped a grade when I was in school,
okay.
and so I was in school. I went to orientation first that summer. The dean's up on the stage talking to all the incoming freshmen and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking, and I'm not really paying much attention to. I heard him say, he said, "Look to your left, look to your right. One of you will not be here next year." So I kind of like laugh. I'm like, this dude, kind of an ass, right? To sit up there and say that one of us won't be here next year. Well, fast forward, the one of us was me. I was at home because I didn't take it seriously in doing my studies.
Oh, so
So
he was keeping it a buck
he
with you.
was 100. And what I found in life, not to fast forward, is that typically somebody has told you what you needed to hear.
Right.
You may not have been ready to receive it at that point, but somebody had already told you.
Right.
So I ended up at home, of course, and I've been being on my own for like a year and a half. Home ain't the same when you're with your parents and you used to being by yourself. So I had to find something to do, and I still wanted to pursue school. So I went to the Air Force, and that spawned a 20-year career in which I finished my bachelor's degree, like I said I was going to do, and I got my MBA before I got out, and a couple
Yes,
of
sir.
other
I see it.
certifications.
Yeah, yes, sir. I see that.
And so that's kind of how I ended up in the Air Force. It was great. I traveled the world, met a lot of people, expanded my way of thinking, which has greatly, tremendously made me who I am today, honestly. So I often think what would have happened had I stayed in school and done those 4 years and went on, how big or small would my life be?
It's always that what if. Like, dang, what if I
Yep,
would have?
yep.
Dang.
So it's been interesting. So it's led me to all the things that my hands are in. That's why I kind of call myself a Renaissance man, if you will, and a work in progress because I'm mentoring students, high school students. I
Okay.
coach small businesses through this veteran national nonprofit. So I help startups. We have a startup of our own. My wife and I have a tech company. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Florida.
Okay.
I have a
Oh,
master's in marriage and family
oh,
therapy, which helps me with my life
you gotta
coaching.
tell my old lady. Yeah, we
So,
back live because we
uh,
actually, I mean, Aaron, we actually are in the process of looking for a house. So thank you
oh
for that.
yeah, yeah, I am. Yeah, so I do all those different things in the course of a day or a week or a month. But at the heart of all of it, right, is one principle, right, and it's helping people. That's all I'm doing. It's just in a different,
I was gonna
different
ask
area of life.
what does that look like? I was gonna ask what does that
So
look like?
people often ask me, how can you do all those things? Why aren't you focused? I am focused on helping people. It's just in which capacity am I helping them? So
I mean,
in a
I,
nutshell, that's kind of who I am, where I'm from, why
I
I'm here.
mean, at the end of the day, like I said, even with some of the comments, even some of the posts that I put up, and how we kind of comment back and forth, it's almost like without you even knowing somebody, you kind of know, you get the vibe from them, right? And so even when I
Yep.
was reading over the bio, I was like, okay, I haven't been in the military, but so one of the things that I had to do as a business owner, because I am a co-founder slash president of a nonprofit Type Inc. teaching youth prosperity and excellence, right? And so we're operating in the DMV area, and we also now are registered and operating down here in the Broward County, Florida area, right? And so one of the things that I had to do, somebody was like, I know it's not something that you probably would like to do because I don't really like to talk to myself in third person. But they was like, we want to know, what you've done. Like, what have you done, right? And so as I wrote this bio, like you got, and I wrote mine, and I was just like, damn. And then it doesn't really dawn on you until you kind of write it down and you see what you've done. You know what I mean? Like I've volunteered. I've been a mentor multiple times. I was involved with my church, going to prisons, do prison ministry. Like when you start reading what you've done, you be like, dang, okay. And so now when you're in the position that you're in now, it kind of makes sense. And that's why it kind of feels as easy as it does when you get started, because you've already been doing this type of work. And when you're passionate about what you do, it's not like it's something that, it's a task. It's what you want. It's I want, like you just said, I want to help people. And that's my end result for me. I want my character to live on even when I'm gone. So when people think about Kevin, they be like, oh man, that was a good dude, man. He always looked out. He always was trying. He was a little off the hook, a little rough around the edges. But at the end of the day, man, if you needed some help or if you needed this, that, and the third, man, he was one of them dudes that you always can count on, to help do stuff. So that's kind of the vibe that I got from you, even when I read, through the bio. But the thing that got me is when we talked and you was like, oh no, I know your man. I was like, my man. And I was not expecting it. So when you was like, yeah, I know Chris, I was like, Chris, I was like, oh yeah, Chris was in the Air Force. He was like, yeah, he told me about Southeast Bury Farms. I was like, when you said Bury Farms, I was like, yeah, that you talking about Head. So when we was in high school, we called him Head because he played basketball. So we called him Head, and no gay shit, but that was just his nickname because he got that
big ass block head.
So I knew it was going to be, a good vibe, having a conversation with you. But at the end of the day, I did want to kind of dig in and talk about some serious stuff because we see a lot of stuff going on in our community with us. And I always say community, meaning the Black community. And one time, I've been doing this podcasting thing now since 2018. And I remember I made a comment and I was like, our community. And somebody was like, are you just leaving out other communities? I was like, when I say our community, I mean like-minded people. I don't necessarily mean just Black people. Now, sometimes I may specifically say the Black community on certain things because I want us to know that I'm talking about us. But in other things, I may say the community because at the end of the day, I'm not blind that as a community that is all one race. Like we all are a melting pot. Wherever state, whatever city you go to, it's all a melting pot. And it's some people that have a different skin tone than us that have the same mindset as us because they want to see us do better. They want to see change. And I mean, at the end of the day, when I say community, I just mean like-minded people who don't want to continue to, move ahead like we've done the last 40, 50, 60 years. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I want to get into some dialogue with you real quick. And I want to start with a couple current events just to start this and see what you think. So I want to say this was in North Carolina, that there was a bus driver who shot a 22-year-old. And the 22-year-old and him was on the bus. They was going back and forth. The young guy came from the back of the bus to the front of the bus, talking stuff to the bus driver. Then the young man brandished the gun. And then when the young man brandished the gun, I don't know if he was trying to cock it to get it ready or whatever. But by the time he was doing that, the bus driver had already pulled his gun out and was shooting at him on the bus. And tragically, the bus driver shot towards the young man as the young man ran on the bus, but it was other passengers on the bus that had to duck too, right? And so the bus finally pulls over, and then the young man gets off the bus, and then the bus driver got off the bus. So they showed another video after that where the young man was kind of running away from the bus driver, and the bus driver is still like following him. So in my mind, the first thing I thought was, even in Florida, I'm like, I probably can keep my gun in my truck when I get to work, but I don't see me having to put it on and go to work. So I'm like, how do you feel about? I understand, my brother is a bus driver in DC, so I get the protection part, and I know a lot of transit workers, in the metropolitan area. And I'm not saying that I don't believe in the fact that that man defended himself, because he did. But from a legal standpoint, I just don't want us to get caught up just because we have the right to bear arms, just because we got the right to do this. Because I remember I was talking to an old police officer on my show one time, and he was like, it's good to have education on gun ownership, but we have to be responsible. So I just want to get your mindset. Like, do you think this was responsible? Like, this whole type of, like, it's just throwing me off.
So nobody wins in this situation. No one wins. No one's right, and no one's totally wrong. To be honest, right?
Right.
I think we come to a point where we have a consumption problem, right? Similar to like when people eat, right? They consume, right? We consume. When you consume something, it has to go somewhere, right? You have to take in what's good for you, and then your body excretes what's waste.
Fact.
So we're taking in all these foods. Okay, cool. Now let's fast forward to the last 5 years in social media content. How much have you consumed? Was it good for you? Nope. What do you do with it? It's gonna come out in some way, in some capacity, right? So people consuming. Everybody's walking around with the what if scenario. It's a what if we're playing right now. And those are the responses you've seen. Or might I say reactions, right? Because response involves thought, where reactions typically involve less thought. Like reactions are like to keep you alive type of thing, right? Involuntary, where responses are voluntary, then you have to give it some thought. So in a situation like that, there was a point in time for which both of them could have went their own way, right? When they exited the bus, it could have been over. The bus driver could have stayed on the bus, counted as a close call, and moved on, but he chose not to. For what reason? Who knows? We all got stuff going on in our lives, and not everybody knows.
So you know what somebody said? Somebody said that there might be a chance that he knew the guy. The bus driver knew the guy.
Absolutely.
And that's probably why it escalated the way it did.
That'll be my second thought, is that he knew him, and maybe this wasn't the first time they've had been at odds. This one just happened to be captured.
Right.
So it's too much going on. Hypersensitive environment we living in. Everybody going through something financially, mentally, everything. So I heard you say this before about protecting the females in your life, but you got to be vigilant on all fronts, all the time, everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
Just because we don't know what we're walking into or out of.
Right. That's so. Again, when I say right or wrong, I don't mean like right or wrong, like like, oh, he shouldn't have did that, or I mean, at the end of the day, the bus driver saw the body language. He heard. He sized him up. He knew something wasn't right. And when he saw that gun, I'm like, in my mind, if it was me and I got a gun, I mean, listen. Am I going to do the same thing?
Probably.
9 times out of 10, yes. Am I going to do everything that he did? Probably not. You know what I mean? Because I felt like if you off the bus and you going about your business, now my life ain't in danger no more. Now I can get back on the bus. I can call the police, tell them, hey, this was the incident. Woo, woo. I'm driving down the street. I'll pull over, check the, passengers, make sure they good. But when I saw him actually trying to chase down and follow the guy, that's when I was like, wait a minute.
And to your point, I mean, the driver could have been carrying simply because he was expecting that individual at some point to come at him, right? Maybe he's not a typical carrier at work,
right? But
he felt it, and he knew something was about to happen sooner or later. So maybe he was carrying to safeguard himself. So it's hard to say. It's just sad for everybody that had to experience that, because now you live with that trauma for the rest of your life.
Right. The bus driver, the young man, the people on the bus. Like I had a conversation on live the other day, and I was kind of talking about parents who lost children, and I was kind of speaking about what kind of happens to the person who commits the crime. And I got a friend of mine also went to Blue with me high school. He's a police officer. He was just like, well, Kevin, what about the victims? I was like, never am I not negating the victims. I'm just kind of talking about the young men, because as a nonprofit, we want to try to figure out what can we do to help these young men. Not negating the victim at all, because I understand that it's going to be trauma and grief on both sides. Because on one side, you got a young man who's getting ready to go to jail for a long time, so his family's not going to have him. And then on the other hand, you got another victim who is not going to be with us anymore. Now his family's going to be traumatized because they got to live life without him. So I'm not never negating either side. It just makes me think because now you just see these instances with these guns and this violence. It's just, to me, I'm not gonna say it's gotten out of hand because it's been out of hand, but now, like you say, social media, TV, it's just so every day, and it can kind of consume you. So I know I got to take breaks myself with social media throughout the day. So
Yeah, it's normalized at this point, right? To hear, a shooting, so what, kind of, right? You just first thing you probably think is where was it?
where was it? Yep.
To see if it was in close proximity to somebody you love and care about.
Yep.
For the most part, though, other than that, you're like, man, they need to stop, and then you go on about your business.
Yep.
So it's tough. It's tough,
and
but you got to understand, all of us, whenever something happens or before it happens, and we're filtering everything through experiences and trauma. It's going
Yep.
through both before
Yep.
whatever happens. So
Yep.
some of us got some dark past and history that we ain't dealt with. So the response is not going to be good most of the time.
Right. And I mean, even that you mentioned that, I mean, I'm kind of, at the point of my life where I don't mind sharing, kind of where I've been through, and I have a somewhat of a dark past, somewhat of a troubled past. So when I hear, people, so like for this 15-year-old guy, the U.S. Marshals caught up with him. I think it was day before yesterday, and I just saw some of the comments. And I mean, me, when I see a post, I'm kind of like a comment person. I kind of want to see what people are talking about, because I remember before I came down here, and when I was like really heavily involved in my church, First Baptist Church of Glenarden, I used to hear Pastor Jenkins say all the time that the world is kind of missing empathy. And I stopped and thought about that. He was like, if you watch something on TV and it's something tragic and it doesn't do something to you, then you need to get checked. You need to check in, because that's not normal. And I mean, I know the word normal, isn't a definition, because nothing's really normal, right? Like, what's normal? But I understood what he was saying. Like, it's got to be some type of feeling like, damn, like, you know what I mean? And so, like you said, to your point, when we see something, it ain't like, damn, it's more like, damn, what was he? How old was he? What was this? You know what I mean? Versus the, damn, another black man. You know what I mean? So it's just a big difference. But I was talking about this situation, and it just made me think about it, because I'm like, 15 years old, and they said that he had already been connected with another murder. I'm like, damn. And so again, this big onion that we got to start peeling back. Does he have family? Does he have a mother and father? Does he have a stable place to live? Is he even trying to go to school? We're talking about drugs and alcohol, the neighborhood. It's just so many layers that go into what's going on. It's just one of them conversations that when you start talking about it, you get instances and perspectives from other people. And that's the main reason why I talk about a lot of stuff, because I want to hear what people think, because sometimes I get ideas from people when they say something, or I get different perspectives when people talk, and I can take notes like, damn, I didn't even think about it like that. And a lot of times when I do talk about stuff, that's what I get a different perspective. So I wanted to kind of jump in and kind of reverse back to what I was talking about when I first came on, about it being June 1st. How much of this June 1st protest do you know about that's going on in Florida?
None. It's related to DeSantis, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So that guy, I have to take in very little of him, because he's just too much, right? He's just too much for my livelihood, for my mental state, for my emotional state, for everything.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I don't know what he's doing, but my relatives that don't live here will tell me, like, frequently, routinely.
Right.
And I have to think about him like, well, to be honest, in my day-to-day life, I don't really see his footprint on anything, to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's good at sound bites and agitating on a national landscape. But some of the stuff he's doing, I think he has been doing that because he knew he was going to run for president.
Bingo.
So he's just been gathering people's minds to follow him.
Bingo.
He's not.
Bingo.
Yeah, I don't think there's much substance to him, to be honest.
Me neither.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just a way of gaining support, because it's a lot of ignorant people, white, black, Mexican, Hispanic, whatever you want to call it, that's rallying behind this dude. And now that Trump is kind of in some trouble, hot water, so to speak, he's like, oh yeah, it's the perfect time for me to come out and run. But everybody had been talking about it all year that this dude was going to end up running for president, right? And so,
Right. But I think part of his sound bites and all his craziness is he has to steal a certain percentage of the Trump followers. Otherwise, he won't win that nomination. So I think that's what he's been trying to do because he's following a similar path, if you will.
correct.
So, I get it, but it's draining.
Right.
Because he got every week he on something else.
Yeah, I mean,
Corporations, little people,
even on the
kids.
news down here, on the radio, every day, I'm like, dang, this dude doing something every day, man. What's going on with this little dude, man? He going at the Disney. He doing this. We can't have certain black AP classes no more. I'm like, what's this dude doing, man?
He has a timeline though, and I believe once he disrupts the economy, when he starts messing with big business, similar to how Disney, I saw where a festival pulled out, that was like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Once he starts doing that routinely, he's out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when I talk to the kids, I tell them, I say, listen, I know sometimes I shouldn't say certain things a certain way, but it's hard for me to sugarcoat stuff with y'all. I said, and at the end of the day, money talks, bullshit walks. I said, when people start fucking with the money, shit start getting funny. And like, you think you're doing the right thing, but when you start messing with this big business, they find a way to get you up out of there. So like I say, I think depending on what type of pull he get and how his supporters are with this whole presidential run, we'll see. But I have talked to a few Latino brothers and sisters down here, and they kind of told me how they felt and what's going on and why they wanted to boycott, and they want to not work. They're not going to work on certain contracts and the orange farmers and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I get it. I said, but at the end of the day, you still got to take care of your family. How you gonna do that?
Right. And let me be clear, I support them 100%, whatever they decide to do. Right. Similar instance, if it's us, right, and we out picketing or doing whatever the case may be, and they don't quite understand it or get it because it don't really impact them.
Right.
I get it. I don't need to know all of it. I ain't never gonna feel it the way they're gonna feel it. So They need to do what they need to do. However, they also need to understand that the world gonna keep on spinning.
Yeah.
And when that money ain't there at the end of the month, they gotta make some life choices.
Yeah.
So pick your more, pick the sword you want to fall on.
Yeah. And so where I live, there is this school bus that pulls up around 6:45 in the morning, and it picks up a lot of these Hispanic people, and they all got backpacks on. So instantly I'm like, oh, they going to work. So it's some type of program where it picks up all of the Spanish or Latino people that live in our community to take them to work. And some of them was living next door to us, and I just saw today that their whole apartment is empty, like just out the blue. I'm like, it's June 1st. I'm like, wait a minute, damn. I mean, it was a cleaning crew in there cleaning it out. I was like, so I get it, but again, like you said, the world is gonna keep turning. And so if you a licensed truck driver, you got your CDL, and I'm boycotting. Well, how's that gonna really look? Because when mama and the kids need to eat, how's that gonna look in real life?
And we at a point right now with the economy being what it is, that depending upon your financial situation or what type of work you do, you kind of just got to be angry and keep quiet and go to work.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. I'm not angry, but I go.
Yeah.
I ain't angry, but I go because I'm fully aware, and I fully understand now that God is putting me in certain positions to see what I'm gonna do, and I want to be able to understand and acknowledge that, and still try to do the best I can until something else happens. I mean, until we get this big grant, for our nonprofit, until this business. I mean, until something else happens, I still got to pay my bills. I still got to put food in the refrigerator. So I don't necessarily like that plantation mindset where I got to punch the clock. I got to get up at a certain time. I got to go to work. I got to do what they ask me to do before I come home. But I understand there's more to what I'm doing than just going to work. I get that.
So let me see if I can help you, because you said something that touched on me. So let me see if I can help you out real quick. Short story. I was working for the state of Texas prior to us moving to Florida, and I hated this job. It was paying me well though. The hardest part of my day was driving to work and driving home. I hated it. For a year, I sat in my cubicle, did nothing, and me and God just going round and round and round. So finally, I left, and that's when I started my coaching business.
Okay.
The very next day, all them troubles and woes and weight went away.
Gone.
And so I was like, I don't understand. And I think what he was telling me was like, Aaron, I will let you go be miserable all day, every day, if you're stubborn, right, and won't do what I'm telling you to do.
Right.
You was afraid that if you didn't leave that comfortable environment, I wasn't gonna provide for you.
Right.
And so eventually I had to like redefine kind of what success is. And I speak about it when I speak to kids and other groups. So all of us need to define success and what it is to us personally.
Right. I
Right.
agree with that.
And so when I looked it up, because I wanted to like look up the definition, one definition I found said that success is like to make a profit, right? That's successful, or to have aim or achievement or impact.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Impact.
I was like, oh, I
Impact.
get it. All of us have been going for the profit route. That's
Correct.
success, right? To achieve this insurmountable amount of money.
Correct.
And what God is saying is, no, I actually designed you to have impact, purpose, aim. And if you do that, I'll get you the profits.
Yes,
Once
sir.
I did that, different, game changer.
Yes, sir.
But it took a lot, right? I had to get rid of my pride, my ego, and
Yeah.
stop listening to everybody else,
Yeah.
all this crazy stuff.
Yeah. And one of the things that I had to stop doing, and I mean, I know my old lady might not have said it, which I know a lot of times she doesn't mind listening because she knows I have to get it off my chest so I can get it out of my system. But one of the things I had to start doing was stop talking about how I felt about the job versus just going to work and just doing it. Because now I just go to work. It ain't a whole bunch of stress. It ain't a whole bunch of, when I get to work, I'm like, damn, I don't want, I know what I got to do. I just go. When it's time for me to leave, I leave. You know what I mean? When I'm there, I struggle a little bit because I'm still not fully like, I want to get out of here. And I'm taking weekly meetings with my team and want to make sure I'm doing this, that, and the third. But as long as I keep working and as long as I keep networking and doing what I'm doing, I know it's coming. I just got to stay focused. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of keep going and I want to get into the life coach and the company, because I thought that was interesting because you said that you help companies start up. And I mean, this might be something where we, even when we get over here, man, lock your number in, I might be in your ear. So kind of tell us kind of what you do, for other companies.
So yeah, I'm affiliated with this national nonprofit for veterans, right? So they did some study and they found like post Vietnam veterans, when they came back, there were no jobs for them, right? Because of factories and all this stuff. And so they thought entrepreneurship would be a better route for veterans. So on that premise, they started this national nonprofit. So here in the city of Tampa, I'm the ambassador. I facilitate these incubator programs, mastermind groups where we could take, every 6 months I get 8 to 10 companies and we help different categories and markets, different areas of growth, some ideas, some growth, some even beyond that. And we kind of help them grow their business, right? Based on their goals and the outcomes they're trying to reach. Sometimes it's branding help, sometimes it's social media stuff. Lately, it's been a lot of AI incorporation to try to help people do things in a smarter way.
We're going to get there.
So increase revenue. It just depends on what are their business goals. Mm-hmm. And so collectively, myself, I have another guy that helps me out, but we sit there and we get into it and we figure it out. Sometimes that means telling people like, you're not the person to execute the idea. Like sometimes that's what we end up at. Great idea, wrong person type of thing. And sometimes it's the reverse, right? Terrible idea. You're a business person, but a terrible idea. So all these, but some of the stuff you don't know. Like most of the stuff, you don't have a clue until you start doing it. Mm-hmm. And so entrepreneurship is something like, you just have to do it.
Yep.
And your first step will reveal where your second step should be, and they'll tell you where your third step should be.
Yep.
And then you're gonna take a few steps back,
Yeah.
but you're gonna get better every time you do it.
Yeah.
And so it's entrepreneurship is lonely. People don't understand. It's the loneliest thing you're ever gonna do.
Yeah. I
Nobody
mean,
gets that.
I mean,
It's tough.
they don't know until they're walking in it, because a lot of times, you know, I'm not gonna say it's lonely, but it can get lonely because you feel like you're by yourself. But if you keep pushing and you keep going, I mean, like I say, eventually you see
Yeah,
that light at the end of the tunnel. Because I see it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I mean, it's not as bright as this ring light is in front of me, but I can see it though, and I can almost feel it. And it's times that, you know, my lady, you know, she has this discernment, right? And you know, sometimes she'll say something, and I'll just be like, "What?" And it's like she want to tell me what she saw or what she feels, but she don't want to throw me off and get me all excited, and you know what I mean? Because one time she was like, "Well, I remember one time I had a vision that me and you was on a jet, you was on the phone conducting business, and I was on the jet with you, but it was nobody on the jet but us." And I looked at her, I was like, "What?" So in my mind, I'm like, not saying you can't tell me that, but when I walk away from you, I'm like, it's coming. Because
Hmm.
like even when my pastor used to say, you know, you sitting in your row, right? And you come to church every week, every Sunday, and you see this person, something's happening to them. You see this person, something's happening to them. You see this person, at the end of the day, it's coming. It's coming your way. You gotta wait. You know what I mean? And even in my circle, I got guys in my circle, great things happening to them. So I know for a fact, if I stay connected with them and I just be patient, it's coming. So I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
not
a,
going.
it's a entrepreneurship. It's a sustainability game. You got to be in it.
Right.
You just got to find a way to stay in it for however long. And when you feel like you're gonna quit, right, you'll usually get something that inspire you and motivate you to keep going.
To keep going,
And
because
then
because I
it'll be
know I
good for a little while, and it get
man,
tough. You just got to keep going.
I was gonna
Like,
stop this podcast in 2021 because I was preparing myself to come here, to come to South Florida. And as soon as I got to South Florida, I hadn't done it in a while. My lady, she was like, "Boo, when you gonna start recording again?" I was like, "Huh?" I mean, it was almost like an afterthought, because in my mind, I was like, "Man, I'm done with that shit. I ain't doing that shit no more."
yeah,
But she was like, "Nah, you can't just stop. It's people that been looking forward to, you know, seeing what you got come going on and what you doing, so you can't stop that." And even my partners like, "Slim, when you gonna record again?" I was like, "Man, I ain't." They was like, "Slim, don't think about stopping. You can't stop that." Because my man was like, you know, Wallow and Gilly, you know, they had been at it for 8-9 years before they got where they at now. He was like, "Man, you can't stop." I was like, "All
yeah.
right." So,
That's what people don't understand about business, right? I work with some companies; they're like 10, 15 years, and they're still a startup.
yep,
Still, some of them
yep,
still pre-revenue, meaning they
right,
ain't made any money yet,
right.
but they've raised capital, right? They've gotten 5 million, but they ain't made $1 yet.
Mm,
So that's a part of business that I don't think most people understand well, like
mm,
raising capital. And we're in that right now. We're trying to raise our first round. So we talking to venture capitalists and private equity firms, angel investors. We even had a conversation with one of the sharks. Um, but you gotta kiss a lot of frogs before somebody willing to give you that first million or two or three or whatever, right?
right.
Because they want to know a lot. They want
Yes.
to know you. So they want to know the founder like really, really well as
Mhm.
they want to know the business and the profitability of it.
Right.
So all these things come into play. So it's tough, man, but it's worth it, right? Because intentionally you're doing that for somebody else every day when you get up and go to work.
Correct.
That was somebody's dream, somebody's passion, whatever. And every day you go and clock in them hours, you helping them. Essentially,
Yes.
I think the calculation is something like whatever your pay rate is like 2 or 3 times that, 2 or 3x, right? So if they're paying you 25 an hour, whatever you're doing is worth $75
Right.
an hour, right?
Right.
Something like that. So think
Right.
about it in that way. You making somebody else's dream come true.
And you know, like these memes, I'm not a big person of looking at memes, but I saw one and I remembered it in my head, and I could remember it verbatim. It was like, you work 365 days a year to get 26 checks. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what the I was like, wait. And then I had to read the shit again. I was like, and so that shit motivated me so much. Like I don't even understand how you could just see how. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't understand, but my mother say I shouldn't call him. Uh, uh, she said I should always call him God, right? And I'm like, Mom, one thing that I learned, going to church, and now that I'm older and I'm grown, I understand that I have to have my own personal relationship with him, right? I said, and so I hear what you're saying, and it's not being disrespectful to you because I understand that that is your God, that is what you call him. I said, but for me, the big homie, that's my big homie. I said, because he looking out for me in ways that I never thought he would look out. No, you got to call him God. I was like, I hear you. We're not gonna go back and forth about that. I hear what you're saying, but for me, that's my big homie. And so the big homie let me see this meme one day, and I was just like, wait a minute. And it just took me, and I came home, it just took me in the mode 3 hours. I'm just like, all right. I even ended up because I'm still trying to start up outside the nonprofit, start up my own business. And I was listening to Shaq one day, and Shaq made me go get this book.
Yep.
And I'm reading it because he was like, there's little stuff in this book about taking your personal cell phone and turn it into the business so you can get some. It's little stuff that we just don't know, and if we don't know, we not going to know.
For years, people were starting businesses just so they could write off those losses on the income tax.
Yep.
The business never made $1, but for 3 years consecutive, you could take a loss. So it would help their business tax. So, I mean, we've had 1, 2, 3, or 4 businesses at this point, and it's helped with our taxes tremendously. And then I had some rental properties and stuff in the real estate investment world that also helped. So you got to understand, there was a point in time in which it was probably like right after I retired from the Air Force, like 2012, 2013, I was like, okay, this is my second life, right? I want to do this one differently than I did the first one. So I'm like, what is everybody doing? What do they know that I don't know? So I started going to stock and EFTs and option trading seminars. And I went to real estate seminars. And I'm listening to the people that make the money tell me how they make the money. Then when Donald Trump was in office, I said, okay, where did he make his money? Most of it in real estate. So every law he passes is going to be friendly to he and his friends.
Yep.
You can be mad about it, or you can accept it, embrace it, and do what they do.
Yep.
So I chose not to be mad about it. I'm like, I'm gonna move with him.
Yep.
However his money move, that's how my money gonna move.
Yep.
When the next administration starts, you need to figure out who are they friends with.
Yep.
Whatever the policies they sign into place, you guarantee it's gonna benefit them and their buddies. So whatever little money you have, I'm in all of it. I got some money sprinkled in the stocks, options, EFT, crypto, real estate, you name it. Because you're never going to figure it out, right? You're never going to learn enough about it before you're going to have to do it and learn at the same time.
Right.
Most people just say, I don't know enough about that yet.
Right.
Well, are you trying to know enough about it? No.
Right. Exactly.
So you're never going to know. But if you put your money in there, I bet you'll learn about it. I bet you'll go learn then.
And I want to say probably maybe 5, 6 years ago, I told my mother, I said, Mom, the post office is going to be online. Banking is going to be online. When you order groceries, it's going to be online. I have been telling her for years. I said, Mom, I at least just want you to get a computer and just start using it. If you got to call me every day and for me to repeat certain things, I will do it because that's where it's going. Your phone is a computer. It's in your hand. It might be just your phone to you, but that phone is powerful. Even for me, when I first started this podcast, I did everything off of my phone. Everything, all the recordings, all of the edits, all the everything off my phone. And so I tried to explain to her, and now she kind of called me like when we talk, because she's CNN all day. Like, if I call my mother now, she could tell me everything that's going on in politics because she on it, which I love because she on it. But I said, but at the end of the day, you got to get on that phone. You got to get on that computer. You got to start understanding how it works. I'm not saying like be, an expert, but at least
it's awareness. So the issue for the most part in most underserved population has always been awareness.
Yeah.
Right? and access. Those
Yeah.
two A words, awareness and
And
or
access.
access, or
I like
both.
it. I like it.
Now we have both. And now we don't use it. We're using it to be entertained
Mm-hmm.
instead of like educating yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
like to your earlier point, the DeSantis stuff in my world, for me, that's a distraction. I don't
Mm.
have time for that. Until he say something that like comes across my radar and impacts my daily, monthly life,
Right.
he's a distraction. And he's
Correct.
doing that on purpose,
Correct.
right? Like I'm big on the consumption thing. So I limit my social media time. That's across all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything, to 2 hours a day. Once I get
Okay.
to 2 hours, I'm done.
Okay.
So that's for entertainment, business, whatever I got to do. Because
Okay.
if I'm on that long, that it's probably distracting me from doing something I
I'm
need to
doing
do.
something else. I agree.
So, but that's for me. That's for Aaron, right?
Yes.
Everybody needs to figure out and be honest with themselves and call it what it is and say, what's holding me back from that one thing I said I wanted to do?
I wanted to do.
Just the
Yep.
one, not the whole list, just one of them.
What is? I want you to hear something. Let me turn this off real quick. I want you to hear because I'm kind of happy you just said that. I want to play something for you, and I just want to get your take on it because I heard this and I was like, what? It was I was just like, wait, what is going on? Let me see if I can get it to play. Let me go back. All right, listen to this.
You ain't never put in no work for any. Most people don't even believe in themselves, and because you don't believe it. No, I'm serious. It's true. Whoa. Think about the reason people don't act on the action. You hear people all the time. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do. Why do people not move forward? Because they haven't stood on the promises that they made to themselves. So what happens is over time you lose confidence. You lose confidence in yourself. That's why people don't invest in themselves. Oh, I don't know if it's gonna work. You know it's gonna work. You don't know if you're gonna do it.
You know it's going to work. You just don't know if you're going to do the work.
Right.
When I heard that, I was like, holy shit.
So then that brings me to the other A, accountability.
Yep.
Right.
I
So
knew that was coming.
for most of your life, my life, and everybody listening and watching lives, most of the things that they accomplished was because there was a consequence attached to it.
Yep.
Either mama was gonna whoop them, or they was gonna get in trouble, or
Yep.
the bills weren't gonna get paid,
Yep.
or they was gonna be embarrassed, or whatever. That's the only reason they acted in whatever way they did
Yep.
is because of consequences attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
But now some of this stuff that we're talking about, there are no consequences to it,
Right.
so it don't get done. Who's gonna hold you accountable if you don't try to reach for your goals? No one, because you ain't gonna tell nobody. Because you
Right.
tell the wrong person, they be like, "You started on that yet?" No.
Right.
So you
Right.
just keep it to yourself.
Yep.
So when I want to do something that I know is against my DNA, I tell like all the people closest to me because I know they're gonna start pinging me about it, and I don't like to disappoint and let people down.
You did you
So for
did you
no
have
other
to
reason, I'll do it.
do that? Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that though.
for
I'm
no other
I
reason.
had to,
So I create where there are no consequences, I create them
for yourself. I like
for
that.
myself.
I like that. Damn, I like that. So let's dive in now because I wanted to kind of make sure I talked about this because it's something that I'm seeing a lot of it, and I follow two or three guys who talk about it every day, and I kind of now it's starting to hit me. So this one guy was like, hold on, let me see if I can let me see if I can find this one too because it I was just like, wait, what? Like it I mean, it's just so much that's going on out here nowadays. I'm just like, man, what is going on? But he was absolutely right though. He was absolutely 100%. Oh, here you go. No, not that, not that, not that. Dang man, when I'm always looking for something. Okay, that ain't it. I'm gonna have to find it. But it's an entrepreneur, businessman, black guy, older guy, and he was saying that AI is getting ready to destroy millions and millions and millions of jobs. He was saying, and I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that for you to understand how can AI, how can you get a technical skill where AI and your technical skill can be like this. That way, it won't be something where it's past tense. Like, how do you like AI is here? How do you get to meet AI head to head? And I was just like, wait, what? And it's so many things that's happening. Aaron. It's so many things that's in front of us, so many smoke screens, politics, gun violence, whatever it may be, the mental health conversation, all serious stuff, but all smoke screens because you're looking at this, you're looking at the mental health, you're looking at the violence, you're looking at the politics, but you ain't looking at the shit that's happening. They had an AI, robot talking, and they asked her, "How is AI going to affect the human race?" And what she said, I was just, and the way she frowned her face as she was thinking, and then when she spoke, the shit blew my mind. So, how do you feel about AI? Like, I know I've talked to a few people, and they kind of gave me like the the positive and some negative, but I'm just curious to know how you think about AI.
It's 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 growing and educating itself faster and faster every day, faster than we can, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you saw a few weeks ago, the guy from Google who's supposed to be the father of artificial intelligence came
Yes,
out and spoke against it, the
yes,
dangers of it.
yes,
He's the guy who created it. So
yes.
that tells me something, right? That's something I need to pay attention to. While it is beneficial to expediency and getting things done and answering questions maybe you don't have with all the answer, there is going to be a point in which the scales are going to tip. And it's for those of us who are uninformed, unaware, unwilling to accept it, you
Mm-hmm.
will be on the boat or not.
Yep.
So don't wait to educate yourself about what is it, where is it being used. I've seen it putting on fake eyebrows. They had
Yep.
the robot doing the fake. I mean, AI is doing all kinds of stuff, and business owners are using it to advance their business like
Correct.
quick and make a ton of money without
Yes.
having a person do so.
Yes.
So entrepreneurs love it for that regard.
And
But
I've been following this Chat GPT because I
I
went on
use
there
that
one day.
all the time.
Yeah, I went on there one day, and I'm not 100% where I want to pay for it just yet.
I don't pay for it.
Right. I mean, because
Mhm.
I was using it so much that the app was like, okay, now it's time for you to pay. I was like,
Right.
all right, I'm gonna delete it and then I'm gonna do another one and get something free. But I asked it a question. I was like, can you give me a business model for this? And that thing just start
Mhm.
typing. I was like, holy shit. And I just found out that a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, a lawyer got in trouble because he was using Chat GPT to file his uh
Yeah.
his dockets or his
Yeah, he's
paperwork.
piling the dockets with,
And
yeah.
they found out that it wasn't him, and so he's now in trouble, about to lose his license and all this.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's crazy.
But I mean, it's not going anywhere. I think even a week or so ago, they said John Morant's apology was Chat GPT
Yeah,
generated, AI generated.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's as simple as typing. If you can type, it'll find whatever you're asking to do. And the better you
Absolutely.
are at the prompt, the question,
Absolutely.
the better the response it get. There's websites out there with like 600, 1,000 prompts already. Just copy and paste it right in.
Yeah,
They give you
yeah,
whatever you want.
yeah.
Kids are using it for school now.
Hmm.
You can't get away from that. It's not going to go away. Google has invested too much money in it. Bing, there's like 4 or 5 of them out right now, and others on the way. So that's not going to go anywhere. You might as well become familiar with it. The
Right,
danger with it is that it's taking the information from the internet, right? So it's taking it faster than we could Google it and comprise it all together and put it
right,
together, make it make
right,
sense.
right.
But think about this, right? All the misinformation that's on the internet,
Yeah,
all the biased information that's on the internet, right?
yeah.
All these other things, right?
Mhm.
Different thoughts are against your thought. Someone unaware is taking that information from this app, right? And then using it, and they're not really sure what it's saying or what it's
Mhm.
stating. They don't know where it really came from. So that's the danger of it. But again, like when I use it to get like topical content, like the topics that I can't ain't coming to me fast enough, and then
Right.
I take it and clean it up. And cause there's another app I use that is a paraphrasing tool that it rewrites it for you. So you literally could just go from one app to another app to another app and have a whole paper, email, text.
Mm-hmm.
You name it. Love note, whatever you want.
Oh, I'm ready. Trust me.
It could be
I'm,
Socrates and
I'm
everybody
that
else.
I'm that person. I'm that person that I never try to judge a book by its cover. But when I start reading it, and if it makes sense to me, I'm gonna keep reading,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
can
you should.
see
Everybody should.
how can I benefit.
Everybody should go on it and use the free version and just start asking it questions
Yeah,
and then see if you could do something with it that makes sense
they
to
gonna
you.
be brother. Listen, they gonna be amazed because I swear I asked for something specific, and it specifically gave me boop 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 boop. I was like, holy shit.
I
Okay.
asked it one day. I asked it to go find information on me. I typed my name just to see
Oh wow.
what was out there that I hadn't seen about myself, right?
Oh wow.
So it's interesting. You could do it about anything. You can ask it whatever. It'll
I'm
go do it.
I'm scared to ask about. Hey, look, I don't need you to be saving my information. I don't need
But
you to.
again, right? Think back to the election. We had all the issues with fake news and the Russian bots doing all this stuff. So ChatGPT is grabbing that information, right? Because it's out there.
Look at this shit,
But
Ernst.
then
See, this
what
is
you
the
do
type of
with
shit
it?
I'm dealing with. Look at this shit, man. Look at this shit.
Hey,
look,
bro. I
look
mean,
what I got to deal with.
you just edit it, man. Just take out a couple words, put in a couple. You be all right. You can get away with it.
I mean, but like you say, it's this it's here and it's gonna be here. And so, like you say, we need to get used to it and need to get a little bit more, experience with it because it's here. I mean, I've used it 3 times and I've actually officially used it 2 times and it worked. I mean, I actually needed it to help me with a court filing that I was doing, and it was to the T. I was like, okay, I'm
I
using.
wrote a I wrote a 90-minute lesson plan yesterday for an upcoming workshop I'm doing via ChatGPT.
And,
It gave
and
me a
how long?
whole outline.
How long did that take you?
It took the computer probably like 60 seconds to
There
type
you
it
go,
all up. Took
man.
me
What? And then you go in there and redo All right, got my plan. So I'm with it. I just want us, as a people, the black community specifically, to catch up. I'm
there's
honestly tired of.
like we have to learn to not be afraid of things that we don't understand. Just be cautious.
Yeah, because
Caution and afraid are different. Just be
yeah,
cautious about it
yes,
because it could be dangerous. But
could be, but it could be very
right,
beneficial.
so just
Very
use it
beneficial.
with caution. Right, proceed with caution.
Right. Because it's actually, I mean, now when you think about it in that way, it's actually a great tool, and that's what it is, a tool to
Absolutely.
help advance, whatever it is you're trying to do. And so I just want to see us in a place where, like back in the '60s, when we all kind of came together and we did the protest and all that. But let's remix that, and now not necessarily protest, but how about we lend a helping hand, give out information. I know entrepreneurs right now who are like doing very well, very successful, and won't give information to people who could use it to help them be successful. I don't. That's the one thing
That's a
about I've never really understood.
but that's a scarcity mindset. So traditionally, people that look like you and I and others, underserved populations, um, growing up, there could only be one, right? Only one of us could get the job. Only one could have the thing, or there was only $1. Y'all got to share the dollar, right?
Right,
So that's a scarcity mindset that you grow up with, and now you operating in a professional sense when that's no longer true with the
right,
same mindset. It doesn't apply anymore.
right. That's crazy. I mean, I just I don't I me personally I just want to see us do better, man. I really do. I mean, even with me, I want to do better, but I also want to see us do better. I want to see us do. I want us to be as best as we can because we can be. I mean, we've been through so much, and I just want to see us in that light where we have, been, doing things. I mean, when I look at Black history now, I look at it way different because I look at everything that we created. I just saw this dude the other day, black dude, who invented the cell phone. I was like, wait, is a black dude invented the cell phone? I ain't know that.
Yeah.
So it's just so many things that we are doing that we, even from an educational standpoint, that we don't know. that we've done. And it motivates me because I feel like it's a lot of stuff that I'm good at. I'm not good at everything. And now I'm kind of staying in my wheelhouse of understanding what I'm good at. And even with, our business, I have two partners, and we are now at the point where you good at this, you're going to focus on that. You good at this, you focus on that. Because we just recently tried to apply for a big, I want to say multi-million-dollar grant for a reentry program. We have a mentor who has over 35, 40 years of experience in the federal penitentiary system, who has created programs such as the one we're trying to do. But when we looked at this paper, and it's in my bag, when we looked at this paperwork and we looked at what we needed, it was so in depth, but it taught us a lot. It taught us about what we really need to do to really start getting money. And that's why I say we probably will talk offline a little bit, but it taught us so much. And it taught me so much where I had to text them together and say, you know what? I'm not upset that we didn't get it, because it still taught us a lot of what we need to do. We got to be prepared. We have to do things in a timely manner. But also it taught us that if I'm not necessarily good at this, why waste my time doing this when I could be focusing on what I really can do, so that we all collectively come together and make this thing work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say, just speaking business from the perspective of what you guys are trying to accomplish, it is always best, even if they're not integral parts, to build out your team with every skill set imaginable, right? So when you go apply for those things, they're on there. So it looks like, oh, I got that covered. Even though it's really just like, they're kind of like 1099s, if you will. Like, I call Aaron.
And what we also learned was it's also public knowledge to see the person who was awarded, so you can see what they did. So now we really diving in, we really learning about what we need to do. So that's why I say, man, I just
all those things, grant application, any kind of application process, job interviews, all those things, they're designed to disqualify you and not to qualify you.
Yeah, and we noticed that.
Yeah,
which was fascinating to me, because I was just sitting there looking at it like, damn. But now that we got a handle on it, now we're going to go a little bit smaller. We're going to go after the Walmarts, the Targets, the Costco's, maybe, instead of multi-million-dollar, we're going to go after 50,000, 25,000, 15,000, just to kind of, get us started.
Sure, for you and anybody else listening that's in business or thinking about it, make sure you get your proper designations, meaning like minority-owned business, if you're a veteran-owned business or disabled veteran-owned business or women-owned business, because the city, county, and state, they have like set-asides that they have to give a certain percentage of business to those entities. Like, they give them kind of first priority. So make sure, like, it don't seem like much, but it could be the difference between you getting awarded a contract or not.
Right. And I just wrote that down because I thought I kind of think we talked about that, but if not, it'll definitely be something that we'll talk about it. And
make it hard for them to say no.
That's all they can do. And if they do, we just move on to the next thing. That's it. Hey, man, Aaron, listen, man, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I just appreciate you, coming on, because I didn't really know how it was going to go, but I felt like I wanted to, chop it up with you anyway. But now that I know you're a licensed realtor in Florida, we definitely going to be talking, man. Trust me.
Yeah, hit me up. I'll let you know what's going on.
My old lady say, whatever we get, it got to have a pool. It gotta have a pool. I said, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. I think I fly my drone around and I'll be looking down. I'm like, man, shit, everybody got a pool. That's nothing. That's easy.
No, those are plentiful. They're plenty.
Absolutely. So, man, listen, I wish you nothing but success in what you're doing, especially with the mentorship, especially with the business, helping other smaller businesses, get off the ground. And I may come up with a small panel and maybe do something where we kind of talk to people who want to start their own business and probably give them some, one-on-one basic stuff, or how to get started, where to go, what to look at. So I might be in your ear for that as well.
I'm available to help however I can. I had a blast being on. I got to come back when the Matrix here. I was hoping for that energy, but I'll catch you the next time.
Listen, when I tell you, man, Amachi, man, you gonna be like, I see what you mean, champ. Because she a ball of fire, and I love it, especially when we talking about relationships or something that's kind of close to her heart, man, you gonna see what I mean. You gonna see what I mean.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate you
appreciate it.
being on, man. I'm gonna definitely get at you, man, and get in your ear, about some things offline. And like I say, just wish you all the success in what you're doing, and I'll definitely be in touch, man.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, everybody be safe. Take care.
For sure. Be safe. So again, y'all, like I say, man, it's all about, connecting. And Aaron, you ain't got to get off. I'm gonna get off in a second so we can chop it up after I get off live. But like I say, y'all, it's all about networking. It's all about, again, I wrote this down: awareness, access, accountability. We all got to be accountable to what we say we're gonna do, and we all need to have some. What's that word I'm looking for? Discipline. The discipline is something that we didn't get to talk about, in the episode. But I think that discipline is something that's lost as well, because we say we do it, but then we don't have the drive and the discipline to actually take the step to do it. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of stuff that Steve Harvey says, but Steve Harvey said something one day that was profound. He was like, the road to success is always under construction, and that's been sticking with me for the last 4 or 5 years, because the road to success of this podcast, of this platform, Six Sense Entertainment, Real Talk with the Six Man, it's been some bumps in the road, but I've been able to overcome some stuff. Sometimes my laptop don't work, sometimes I gotta use my phone, sometimes I can't go on at all, sometimes I gotta just go video. I mean, it don't matter what it is, but I still overcome, and I do it. Why? Because I love what I do. People ask me, well, why do you do it? I say, for me, honestly, it's like therapy for me, because I again, I want to impact as many people as I can, and when I leave this earth, I want my character to live on longer than my body form. You know what I mean? And so I just want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to be positive. I want you to chase your dreams. I want you to go after everything that you say you want to do. And again, if it's something that you feel like, I don't like to say that I'm connected, but I know a lot of people, man. I don't talk about a lot of what I know, but I know a lot of people. I mean, shit, I'm about to put Aaron in my network of my circle, a network of friends. And so if you need something, if you want to talk to somebody, and I'm talking about even in our group on Facebook, it's 3 professional Black therapists in our group, and people don't even know that. Some people do because they reached out to me and then they reached out to them. But I'm just saying, I am an abundance of resources. So if you need help starting a business, how to do this, EIN, LLC, whatever, hit me up. I'm with it. Y'all know I'm down. Y'all know I could be a fireball some nights, but this was a chill night. This was a chill night. But again, I need y'all to just keep pushing, be positive, and be better than you were yesterday, man. I love y'all. Y'all be safe, be easy. Peace out.